So? I have a shotgun. Ever hear of the Constitution, the right to bear arms?
Does the Constitution give you the right to shoot people?
Black people? Well, as a matter of fact, the Constitution says they're only worth 3/5 of a white man.
Mr. Tunney, I advise you to remain silent.
It's okay. We're talking about the Constitution. Article 1, Section 3. Look it up.
That article's been amended.
Progress. It's not always a good thing.
And the old neighborhood really went to hell with itself, didn't it, Artie?
Yes, it did. And I don't see you people doing anything about it.
And so you decided to do some cleaning up on your own.
When I said you people, I was talking about the white lackey power structure. I didn't mean you people. You people have done plenty. Made the neighborhood a wonderful place if you like living in Nairobi or wherever it is you're from.
I'm from Brooklyn, Mr. Tunney.
You've done a nice job there, too.
Mr. Tunney, this isn't doing you any good.
You are Miss Levinson? Your public defender advice is worth everything I'm paying for it. I will be dispensing with your services soon.
What are you gonna do, Tunney? Get a lawyer and a white sheet?
Don't you see what's happening in this country? Don't you want to see?
Docket number 87345, People versus Arthur Tunney. 3 counts of murder in the second degree, 1 count of attempted murder in the second degree.
I see a defendant. Do I see an attorney?
Your Honor, I've just been engaged to take over Mr. Tunney's defense.
Always a pleasure, Mr. McCoy.
Mutual, Judge.
Not guilty.
On all counts, I assume. Ms. Kincaid?
In view of the heinous nature of the crimes, Your Honor, the people request that Mr. Tunney be held without bail.
However heinous the crime, Mr. Tunney is not. He has a job, he has roots in the community. The police have overreacted to public outrage by precipitously arresting an innocent man.
You want to argue the evidence, Mr. McCoy, write me a brief. Defendant remanded without bail.
You're not concerned? He wasn't off the bus at Rikers 20 minutes and he's viciously stabbed.
Oh, a vicious, superficial cut. And he's under very good guard at the prison hospital.
While every young blood in the yard is sharpening his spoon.
He'll be protected.
The only way to assure that is to drop your opposition to my motion for bail.
Then he'd be safe, nobody else would.
If he's your killer, I've seen stronger evidence that Eisenhower was a communist.
Horace, please, you're not going to take a chance with this guy. He's out killing innocent people.
In the eyes of the law, I believe Mr. Tunney is an innocent person. Unless you've already had a trial and convicted him without inviting me.
No, Horace, we wouldn't think of having a trial without inviting you.
I took another look at your evidence. Based on your ballistics report alone, you should have indicted half the duck hunters in the state.
Well, Horace, we have looked at the evidence, and we think there's extenuating circumstances. The brutal death of your mother, Mr. Tunney.
They got her?
Not another word.
It used to be a nice neighborhood until these people...
You ever hear the Sixth Amendment?
Mr. Tunney has a right to counsel. He also has a right to be heard.
Don't you love watching a black lawyer at work? It's a marvel of nature. Like a platypus.
Platypus. That's a big word. You know, you don't sound so dumb. I'm surprised you haven't noticed Stone is here to trick you.
I was smart enough to hire you, wasn't I, Horace?
I better take it.
Going to protect the rights of another oppressed black man?
Tunney, you gotta listen to me or I'm out the door. Sit.
You have no qualms about this, Horace?
You mean, why don't I stay above 110th Street where I belong?
That's not what I mean, and you know it.
Do you ask white lawyers if they have qualms when they defend a black man accused of killing white people?
If it's a question of principle and the defense being railroaded, no.
Well, how about a man being entitled to the best possible defense?
The Tunneys can afford a flashy lawyer.
Precisely, and they got a good one.
I'm not questioning your ability. You're a great lawyer.
You know that. I know that. I want the whole city to know that.
Oh, is that what this is all about? Some high-profile form of advertising?
You mean I might get my name on the short list of trial lawyers for wealthy clients? Right up there with Haynes and Spence and Cutler when they made their names defending killers. Did you ask about their consciences?
So-called Africans, truly called mud people, diverged from Homo sapiens ages ago. They are not human, and hunting them is as natural as hunting raccoons.
All right, thank you.
It's my understanding that the police first expressed interest in Mr. Tunney because his name was on the mailing list of the, what was it? White Power Party, is that correct?
Yes?
How many people in the 5 boroughs are on that list and other similar lists you've consulted?
About 700.
Can you tell us where each one of them was the day that Hector Duvall was shot? Can you tell us where they were the day Ashita Khan was shot?
Mr. Tunney had a sawed-off shotgun and a strong motive.
Ah, I understand. Where was Mitchell Pergament the night Lionel Jackson was shot?
Your Honor, objection. Is this a name on the list, and is he going to ask about every one of them?
Mitchell Pergament's brother was killed by a black mugger on Dyckman Street 8 days before Mr. Tunney's mother was murdered.
I assume you have a number of other grieving relatives to inquire about.
50 or 60.
What do you say you boil it down to a single question, Mr. McCoy?
Detective, did you investigate every one of the 750 New Yorkers who had the same alleged motive or state of mind as the defendant?
We didn't need to. We already had the killer.
You made that assumption, and that is where your investigation stopped.
It was double-barreled, side by side. When I saw those 2 holes pointing at me, I tried to get the hell away.
Mr. Jackson, are you certain that the voice of the gunman was the same as the voice of the defendant, Arthur Tunney?
He's the one.
Thank you. Your witness.
You did not see the face of the man who shot you.
He was his size, his build.
Then for all you know, it might have been this man.
No, he's shorter, I can tell.
If Mr. McCoy would like the 2 gentlemen to stand next to each other and be measured, the people have no objection.
How old are you, Mr. Jackson?
72, but perfect hearing.
Now, the night you were shot, you were unconscious for 2 hours. You lost half the blood in your body. You had major surgery. Now, through all that trauma, you don't have the slightest bit of normal doubt that you could remember or distinguish a voice you never heard before?
I remember the voice of the first white man that told me not to come in his store. I remember the voice of the doctor who told me I had a healthy son. And I remember the voice of the man who took out a gun and shot me.
This psychological profile of the killer was not prepared solely by you, was it, Dr. Olivet?
It was primarily compiled by the FBI.
Experts who studied how many? 200 serial killers.
Something like that.
Who had access to information on every crime in the United States and an entire staff of distinguished psychiatrists.
Objection, Your Honor. I honestly don't understand the relevance of this.
I'm just trying to establish that this profile is an authoritative description of the killer.
But it's a hypothetical description. It didn't arrest Mr. Tunney. The police did.
Relying on this profile.
Fair enough, Mr. McCoy, but let's not belabor its bona fides.
Fine. It says here that the killer would have spoken of his rage to his wife. Is Mr. Tunney married?
It says that he would have spoken to his wife or someone close to him.
Is Mr. Tunney married?
No.
It says here the killer has a history of feuding with neighbors. Now, Mr. Tunney has not feuded with anyone that I've heard of. Have you?
The profile is only a tool to help investigators.
Yeah, you got it right smack to Ted Bundy, didn't it? Right smack to Arthur Shawcross.
It was one of many things that helped
This profile
investigators.
says that the killer worked at a succession of menial jobs. Mr. Tunney owns his own upholstery business, doesn't he?
So I've been told.
Mr. Tunney fails to match this profile in many significant aspects, does he not?
And he matches in others.
How many men in New York City match this profile overall more closely than Arthur Tunney?
I couldn't say.
Unfortunately, neither can the police.
He's dead. It's Tunney. Suicide? With his own gun?
No, this one. Took it off her.
This girl?
Yes, sir.
father all right?
He's gonna be okay.
We were coming from the bus. That guy shot at us. This used to be a nice neighborhood.